This alien unk simply cannot be stopped alongside record breakers Mbappe and Haaland, plus Julian Alvarez wants to fulfill his dream by leaving Atletico Madrid. This is DMAC Daily. These three are a joke, aren't they? Messi stat padding in his 6th World Cup, Mbappe in his 3rd, Haaland in his 1st. Meanwhile, Harry Kane will be looking to perform something similar tomorrow. Side note, no pressure CR7, but focusing on his long-term rival. And imagine being a Messi hater in the big 2026. I mean, we are experiencing unparalleled levels of footballing greatness in real time right now. And there will still be some folks who maintain this almost hallucinogenic reality where he's not the greatest to ever do it. Crazy work. Nonetheless, it was another iconic match day from La Albiceleste and of course from the Messiah himself. Not that any rational human being doubted the credentials of Messi's hat-trick against Algeria 6 days ago, but coming up against a very well-coached Austria side today, I was genuinely curious as to how they would handle the soon-to-be 39-year-old. This is a team that has top players in central midfield, also Lima shifting into left back as additional cover. Could they collectively negate Argentina's X-Factor player? Could they stop him from becoming the World Cup's all-time leading goal scorer? That answer appeared to be an emphatic no when Argentina were handed a penalty early on, but stunningly, Messi missed. I guess he didn't fancy the Pessi allegations that were rampant in 2022's tournament. Ethical World Cup goals only in 2026, baby. But any suggestion that Messi was going to fall short today was dismissed half an hour later when the Argentina skipper delivered another classic moment as fullback Medina played the perfect ball to Messi on his left foot inside the box. There's only one outcome. A goal of so much quality and nostalgia too. Messi at the Bernabeu years ago was a carbon copy, although in this instance, you gotta give credit to Thiago Almada here. The self-awareness of where he and Messi are located in that moment, that dummy sells the Austrian defense entirely as they're stood there helpless to prevent a goal. I gotta say, Messi's ability to ghost into the box is so impressive. Like when you think of Messi immediately, you're drawn to the dribbling, the passing, the free kicks, chance creation. When he was younger, the explosive speed, but his box crashing runs and understanding of where to be in that split second is also so underrated. What a moment to break Klose's record as the all-time leading World Cup goal scorer. But of course, the show wasn't over yet. Austria were defensively resolute throughout this match, but truth be told, created very little going forward. In the dying moments of the game, both teams had already made their 5 substitutes. You'd think Scaloni would maybe take off their oldest player in the latter stages of this match to keep him fresh and firing in the next game, but no, Messi stayed on the pitch, and that decision would be vindicated in the 94th minute as he was found in space leading the counter. He plays a perfect ball to Alvarez, but the keeper comes up with the save. It falls to Paredes. He picks out Messi, and the king takes it from there. Game, set, and match, Argentina. This goal for me might just be my favorite from Messi this tournament. When you take into consideration the timing of it and the sheer skill of this goal, like Paredes' pass is kind of awful, yet he takes it down as if the ball were glued to his feet. Then in a 1v5 situation, he sells the keeper, the defender. Defensively, Austria were actually pretty solid here, blocking that initial effort, but the desire of Messi is what gets the ball over the line. This brother's 39 tomorrow, and he's somehow reaching new heights. He scored all 5 of Argentina's World Cup goals this tournament. He broke 4 separate World Cup records today. It almost feels wrong to solely focus on his brilliance when Argentina's teamwork and performances 1 to 11 were all great too, but it's the number 10 that makes this team of top players truly great. The only slight negative today was the loss of Christian Romero. Not sure at this stage about the severity of the injury, but we know he arrived at this tournament recovering from a knee ligament issue. Apparently, it's the same right knee that was affected, so only time will tell on that one. But to be fair, when Otamendi came in, it was business as usual. A highly experienced defender. They didn't look weaker in Romero's absence. You got to feel for Austria in a way because they did very little wrong today. It was just 2 moments of individual brilliance that took them out. I envisage they'll probably truly get second spot in this group. If they do, they're going to be a tricky opponent in the knockout stages. I just think they're a little shy of firepower in that final third. As for Argentina, look, coming into this tournament, I thought this might just be the end of their global dominance, that maybe this aging squad would be unable to replicate the magic of the last 5 years, kind of like what we saw in 2014 with Spain. But off the basis of what we've seen thus far, that is definitely not the case. Argentina look the real deal. Messi's levels and physical qualities appear no different to 2022. There was one moment where he accelerated through midfield today and he actually looked rapid. In a weird way, I'd argue he almost looks better than he did 4 years prior, because in that tournament, he still had this huge burden of expectation. But having gone on to become a world champion, it's almost as if psychologically that's freed him of any semblance of pressure. So he's just vibing out there, stat padding, 12 goals now in the World Cup after turning 35. Anyways, that's enough Messi glaze in one segment. We'll probably be back again in 6 days' time. Moving to another World Cup cheat code. And you thought Mbappe was just going to let Messi have all the headlines? Newsflash, there's another World Cup all-timer in the US right now who can do a thing or two with his left foot apparently, as Mbappe's France has made relatively light work of the Lions of Mesopotamia. A crazy game, the longest one in World Cup history, more on that in a sec, but it was France's talisman who would open the scoring in emphatic fashion, picking up the ball just outside the box and then letting fly on his left peg. Now, I've seen him score on his left foot previously, but that was something else. That reminded me of a prime CR7 bullet on the weaker foot. Unreal stuff from Mr. World Cup, it seems. Shortly after, the conditions made for a very difficult first half. It started bucketing down, and at half-time, it got even worse with a severe thunderstorm arriving, causing the match to be suspended. The first ever weather-related suspension in a World Cup. As a result, it would take 2 hours for this match to resume. Less than ideal circumstances, but this probably won't be the last weather-related delay in the tournament. In the Club World Cup last year, 3 games suffered this exact same fate. A Chelsea-Benfica tie famously lasted 4 hours and 38 minutes due to hazardous conditions, so expect further chaos in the weeks ahead. Nonetheless, once the action continued, it was more of the same dominance by France. Iraq tried to play out the back and were punished, with Dembele setting up Mbappe to complete his brace and match closes 16 goals in the World Cup, but in only 16 games. Another history maker we're watching in real time. Dembele would get on the scoring action himself late on, courtesy of another assist from Elise. For France's perspective, it's great to see all 3 superstars within their team performing. The Ballon d'Or winner was somewhat underwhelming in that opener v Senegal, so this will no doubt be a confidence booster. Respect to Graham Arnold's side though, they didn't just sit back, they tried to play an expansive brand of football, but ultimately the golfing class was too steep and they pounced on Iraq's mistakes today. Staying in Group I, and what an epic encounter the dark horse battle proved to be, as Norway have narrowly defeated Senegal to advance to the round of 32. A lot has been made of this Norway side, obviously topping World Cup qualifying and then defeating Iraq 4-1 in their opening game of the tournament. That was a great start, sure, but today was the real test. Do they have legit pedigree coming up against a Senegal side in the midst of a golden generation? Well, it turns out the Vikings are no joke. The breakthrough came on the stroke of halftime when a rare howler from Koulibaly gave substitute Pedersen an opening, subsequently beating Mendy at the near post. A disaster defensively. Mendy will also be disappointed to not have saved that one. Shortly after, it was 2, thanks to who else but Haaland. The big man turning on the Jets. Odegaard played him through and the finish was superb. Fellow Premier League talent Ismail Assar hit back in an instant, but Haaland wasn't done. Patrick Berg finding the big man, and how about this for a finish on his right foot, caressing the volley off the bar and in. 4 goals now in 2 World Cup games. The long-awaited Haaland World Cup debut is delivering in full. It's almost a shame that Messi and Mbappe are going beast mode too, because Haaland's probably not getting the credit that he deserves. The fact that I'm even talking about his performances this far into today's ep just shows he's low-key flying under the radar, but the reality is that he's looked phenomenal thus far. The counter-attacking style that Norway played today too suits Haaland's game so well. When he's got space to run into, that is a terrifying proposition. It reminded me of his Dortmund days, the way he was moving. The only concern with Norway is that defensively, there were questionable once again, although in fairness to them, they're coming up against a Senegal side with an abundance of attacking threats. My other criticism of Norway perhaps is that I'm not a fan of Sorloth out wide. I know it might work in qualifying, but against premium opposition, he's fundamentally limited as a winger. Meanwhile, Senegal, they are in big trouble. I don't think they're mathematically eliminated from the World Cup as of yet, but it's going to take a huge result via Iraq to secure a spot in the round of 32. I'm wondering if the internal issues are causing disharmony in the group, because today's Senegal looked nothing like that same side from AFCON. Heading back to Group J briefly, and Algeria have dragged themselves back into World Cup contention with a huge win, eliminating Jordan in the process. For 68 minutes, this had all the makings of a historic evening for the AFC side. They'd been under pressure, spent long spells defending deep, but in the 36th minute, Al Tamari's miss hit rolled perfectly into the path of Al Rashan. He fired first time and found the bottom right corner. They'd hit the front for the first time ever in a World Cup match, but Algeria's pressure eventually told. Riyad Mahrez's deliveries had been a problem all evening, and it would be via his set piece in the second half where Ben Bouali headed Algeria level. From there on, Jordan's resistance began to collapse, and 8 minutes from full time, Amine Giri reacted quickest in a goal-mouth scramble to prod home the winner. It wasn't a vintage Algerian performance by any means, but it was a desperately important win, their first World Cup win since 2014, keeping their knockout hopes alive. That fight for second place via Algeria will be a big one on match day 3. This result also confirms Argentina take top spot in the group, and sadly for the World Cup debutants Jordan, their tournament ends in the group stages. Moving to transfer news, and look away Atletico Madrid fans, because your star striker Julian Alvarez officially wants out. Speaking after Argentina's 2-0 win over Austria, Alvarez effectively confirmed what had already been bubbling away behind the scenes. He wants to leave the club, and he didn't mince his words either. No cryptic footballer language was used, as he said, "I can't hide it. I try to be an honest person. I spoke with Atletico Madrid, and I think a transfer is the best option. I want to fulfill my dream." If I'm an Atleti fan, I'm crashing out. He wants to fulfill his dream by leaving your asses. Now, it is worth mentioning that Alvarez is under contract until 2030. Atletico paid up to £95 million to sign him from City in 2024 and have a buyout clause in place for €500 million. So in normal circumstances, Atletico have all the leverage here. Long contract with no feasible exit route on paper, but once the player publicly says a transfer is the best option, the dynamic somewhat shifts. This is no longer just Barca admiring a player from afar. This is now a player actively putting pressure on his own club to let him leave. The problem for Alvarez and Barcelona here is that Atletico are not responding like a club ready to negotiate. They are responding like a club that feels personally attacked, stating, "There is no amount of money for which Barcelona can buy Julian. He will not be transferred to Barcelona. Either they pay the clause 500 million or nothing." Now, not to be that guy, but that statement technically makes no sense. They claim there's no amount of money they can buy him for, but simultaneously they imply he can join for 500 mil. I don't think they thought that one through. Now, it's pretty clear that Alvarez to Barca makes sense on paper. Hansi Flick and Deco are huge admirers. Lewandowski has now left on a free transfer, and Barca need a new centre forward to build around. They'd already sent an opening offer worth a reported €100 million and are expected to return with a fresh offer in the coming weeks. But keep in mind, Real Madrid had a recent 150 mil bid for him already rejected. Granted, it doesn't appear that that was a genuine transfer bid. I think Perez was just rage baiting both Atletico and Barca with that offer, but Atletico did in fact reject that amount. So the public benchmark has at least been set. If Atletico have already knocked back 150 mil from Madrid, it becomes very difficult to imagine them suddenly accepting something closer to 100 mil from Barcelona, especially when the relationship between the two clubs already seems very toxic. So this is now a proper Spanish football war. Alvarez wants the move, Barca want the player, but Atletico are making it clear they will not be bullied into selling one of their best forwards to a domestic rival. Obviously, no one's paying 500 mil for Alvarez. No one's paying that for a guy with 49 goals in 106 games. That's crazy, but I'm curious as to how Barca try and pursue him further. I get that throwing the toys out the Prem can be strategic. We saw Isak do it last summer successfully, but the finances involved to pull this off seem beyond absurd. Anyways, guys, that's all for today's DMAC Daily. Thanks for tuning in as always, and I'll see you tomorrow.